right, you guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. It turns out that our former president, Joe Biden, is dying. So let's talk about that. Okay, so we are going to get into all of that, but first I just wanted to thank you guys. We just hit 1,000 subscribers. I cannot tell you what that means to me. I have been pouring my heart and soul into this channel for the last year or two. So seriously, thank you so much. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe down below and give this video a thumbs up. It means the world to me. Let's get into it. First of all, I do want to offer my condolences, my sympathies to his family. That said, we do have to talk about the realities here, which are that something like this does not just pop up overnight. It has likely been something that they've known about for at least a year, which would put us around the time when he dropped out of the election back in 24. So honestly, if this was a regular guy, a regular Joe Schmo, if you will, it wouldn't be completely improbable that you would just be finding out about such an illness this late and this advanced, because not everyone, I don't suspect that the average American is getting their annual exams as they are, recommended. But somebody like the President of the United States most certainly is. And especially Joe Biden was definitely getting his mental exams, his medical exams, all sorts of things very, very regularly. And so I think that this has brought up a lot of questions for people regarding the fact that just how much of Joe Biden's illnesses were hidden from us. I think it's absolutely plausible that this cancer was discovered last July when Biden dropped out of the race. The Gleason, I think is how it's pronounced. It's a Gleason level 9, which is one of the most aggressive, one of the most terminal for prostate cancer. I don't think I actually said what he has. I'm sure most of you have heard it's prostate cancer. So it is absolutely plausible that it became more severe over recent months, but the idea that they just discovered it is just on its face, that's ridiculous. That is a ridiculous proposition. Now, you do have people online pointing to this for the reason that he ended up actually dropping out in the 2024 election, and I don't necessarily buy into that. I think that because when it happened, flashback to July 2024, it was right after the debate, and that debate went terribly for Joe Biden. It was very apparent that he could not hide his mental decline any further, and he dropped out shortly after. Now, because of this and the kind of the way that the timeline is adding up, people are suspecting that he actually dropped out because of the cancer. I personally don't think I buy into that. I think more likely they were fully going to run him with this cancer, knowing that he would not make it all the way through this presidency. He would die in office. Kamala Harris would then take over, and then going into the 2028 re-election, she would have the benefit of being the incumbent president, which is a huge benefit in an election. So I definitely think that probably was the plan. However, they just did not account for his literal inability to speak. So I think that the cancer paired with how poorly he performed in that debate, they then came to the conclusion that he was no longer fit to run. So I do not think that this was actually the reason he didn't run. I think that it was the mental inability to survive. Okay, but the reality here is why does any of this matter? Why are we talking about the fact that Joe Biden is dying? And that is because Jake Tapper is releasing a book literally tomorrow titled Age, Health, and Concerns About Biden. And the entire premise of the book is the way that the media ran cover for Joe Biden's mental failings. And it's just, side note, we absolutely have to take a side note now that I have an opportunity to sit down and talk about Jake Tapper's book. The irony of Jake Tapper writing this book is beyond. It's absolutely beyond, because was it not Jake Tapper who said that Joe Biden was sharp as a tack when everyone else was saying he's losing his mind, his brain is melting inside of his skull, and So for him to write a book about how the media ran cover for that and lied to the American people for years, it's just like, it's the hypocrisy of this class of people. I don't think it'll ever cease to amaze me. It truly, every time they do something, I'm like, that's it, they can't top this. And then they manage to somehow. So anyways, getting back on track, Jake Tapper's coming out with this book, and you're telling me that they're just now 2 days before the release of this book. This video is coming out on May 19th. This book is set to release on May 20th, tomorrow, 2025. They're just now announcing this man has cancer. And that's where the timeline comes into play, because it is not, let's not pretend like they just found it. There's just no way. There's just no way. He was the president of the United States in a late age. He was getting medical exams very, very regularly. And you're telling me that they're just now announcing it? It's the irony of the book being about how the media manipulates stories or covers up, does cover-ups and all of these sorts of things to run cover for Joe Biden, and this is literally happening 2 days before its release. Is you can't make it up. You couldn't make this up if you tried. At the beginning of this video, I expressed my condolences to Joe Biden's family, and I specifically said to those who care. And the reason I said that is because I just find it a little sick how let's specifically look at Jill Biden. The fact that she knew her husband was suffering from late stage dementia. She knew at this point that he had prostate cancer, an aggressive form of prostate cancer. Now, granted, it could have gotten worse, but still, he's a man in his 80s and he has cancer and dementia. And she still trotted him out on a stage like a puppet to maintain her power and control, to ensure that she got to stay in the White House, that she got to be on the cover of Vogue magazine, that she got all of these nice luxuries. And I understand that Joe Biden is an evil man. He is a corrupt politician. He served in our government for almost 50 years and nothing good came out of it. I understand all of these things, but at a certain point, somewhere over the last 5-6 years, he was no longer, I don't think, in control. And you had his family, you had the administration as a whole, but largely his family, his wife, the woman who's supposed to have his back, the woman who is supposed to be looking out for the man Joe Biden, pushing forward President Joe Biden above anything else. And it's really sick. So when I said those who care, I'm just curious because my sympathy, I'm having trouble finding it, because his family could have spoken up. Any one of them. If that was my dad, so it just begs the question of, like, how much do they care? I'm sorry, it does, because I love my dad personally. Big fan of my dad. And if this were happening to him, you best believe that I'd be speaking out. You best believe I'd be trying to do something to stop it, because it was humiliating for him. So, it's no longer just that he is clearly suffering from some form of dementia. It's no longer just the mental facilities decreasing. He was literally dying. There is a chance that he will be dead in the next 12 months, and that does not happen overnight. So it's truly, that is so sick. So yes, I do offer my condolences to anyone in the Biden family who actually cares that this man is dying. But I just wonder where you were when they were dragging him around this country like a corpse. So yeah, y'all. Okay, that is all that I have for you today. You can't. It's insane. This is a crazy one. They're all crazy. It never stops being crazy in this world. But yeah, so if you enjoyed, give this video a thumbs up. If you disagree, absolutely feel free to leave it in the comments down below. I just ask that you are respectful about it. And as usual, I will chat with you guys next time. Bye.